Today we are going to make a super fun, simple, easy project that you will be able to create in less than 30 minutes. We're going to first make a heart clutch with a zipper, and then we're going to make a heart clutch with a snap. These are all of our supplies. So the first one, we're going to use two fabrics, one for the outside, one for the inside lining, and one zipper to match. The second, we're going to use the rainbow hearts and the rainbow stripes for the lining, and with these super pretty purple cam snaps. So we have our cam snap tools, we have our scissors, and we're going to be making our pattern with regular printer paper. First things first, we're going to take our outer fabric and we're going to cut it down so that we have a little bit less to work with. In order to do that, we're going to take our main fabric and make sure that it's layered in two. So you have two pieces facing mirrored. And we're going to take one piece of paper. Just regular size printer paper is perfectly fine, and we're going to go ahead and pin that on and cut our pages out. We're going to fold our paper in half, separate our two main pieces, and set one aside. And the other one, we're going to go ahead and pin it and cut our piece in half. Now that we have all three pieces completed, we're going to go ahead and repeat and grab our lining pieces so that we have two of each piece. Now with all 6 pieces, we're ready to get started. We're going to go ahead and start with our 4 pieces of the small squares. The first thing we're going to do is take our pieces, right sides together on either side, clip it, and we can use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Just make sure that you've got those raw edges lined up. And you want to make sure that when you're pinning this together, that you're putting the right colors together as well. And repeat for the second side. Now we're going to take our pieces, fold them in the other way so that they're facing wrong sides together. And we're gonna fold our seam out, clip it, and top stitch all the way across. Now that our front pieces are done, we're going to connect them with a snap. So first thing we're going to do is line them up, raw edges together. We're going to find the middle by folding, and then we're going to mark it with a clip. You want to line up your clip so that the metal part meets the edge of the fabrics, and we're going to take our nice little pokey stick, and right in the center below where the clip sits is where we're going to poke through. Make sure your fingers are out of the way for this. Poke through and give it a nice swirl there to make sure that the threads are all nice and out of the way. Okay, I always leave that in there while I prep my snaps. For our snaps, we're only going to need 2 backings and 1 of each front face, a male and a female part. So you want to make sure that each one, you have 1 of each so that they'll snap right in there together. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take our pokey stick out. We're going to remove our clip, and the first one we're going to put our backing through the top, line it up, and poke the post through, and then we're going to take our cam snap press, handheld press. The black side, this is the flat side, that's where the backing of your snap goes. We're gonna hold it right there in the center and then give it a good squeeze. Make sure you move your fingers nice and out of the way before you squeeze this on. Once it's squeezed, we're gonna go ahead and start the next piece. So if we lay that down so that our backing is facing the table, we're gonna flip our main piece over, and we want the next backing to go right through, because we want this side to have the opposing connector piece so that when we put these together, they actually connect, and that way they're not facing the wrong ways. So again, we're gonna take our snap hand pliers, place the flat against the bottom, make sure that it lines up nice and even inside before you give it a full press. Okay, once that's done, you're gonna test it by snapping them together. Once they're snapped together, I'm gonna have you go ahead and clip the sides just to keep them together while we work on our pattern piece. Next, we get to make our pattern. So depending on how big you want your heart clutch to be, you're going to take your piece of paper that we've already folded in half. This is the one that we used to cut our initial pieces out. So it should be approximately 8.5 by 5.5. This is what we're going to use to start drawing out our heart clutch. So first thing we're going to do is draw a heart. Just like that. Now we get to cut it out. Now we're going to take the pieces that we've already sewn together here, open up your pattern, and make sure that it fits. Once it fits, you can go ahead and we're going to pin that on and cut out our shapes. Now we have 3 completed pieces. We have the back of our clutch, we have the inside of the back of the lining, and then we have our completed snap pocket piece. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and line these up one at a time. Ready? We're gonna take the back lining face up, lay our pockets right over the top, and then we're gonna take the outer and lie it face down. Go ahead and clip it all the way around. Now when we're ready to sew this, we're going to sew all the way around, except we're going to leave a hole right here at the end. So we're going to start here, do a back stitch, come down, pivot, turn, and come all the way up around. When you get into this nice deep corner, you're going to do the same thing. Leave your needle down, lift your foot, turn your project, and keep going all the way to about here where we're going to stop. And I'm going to make a mark with a pin so that I know exactly where to stop. Now that our heart is sewn all the way around, we've got to treat our seams. So we'll be cutting off the excess in our corners and cutting notches out of the tight curves and a slit down to the stitching here. Make sure as you cut off different pieces of the seam allowance that you don't cut through any of the stitching or you'll end up with a hole. Now we have all of our notches cut around so that when we flip this inside out, the seams won't be on top of each other. They'll have room to fold. Also, in this deep notch here on the top of the heart, Now that we have it cut down to the stitching, when we flip that out, it'll be a nice tight V at the top of our heart. And the same thing at the bottom of the heart. When we fold our edges in, we'll get a nice clean cut point at the end. So now we're gonna go ahead and flip it inside out through the right side facings of the outside of your pieces. So if you notice, there's our lining pieces, we're gonna leave that alone. And there's our outer pieces, that's what we're gonna flip out through. Before we top stitch, we wanna make sure that all of our seams are pulled all the way out so that we maintain our heart shape. So you can roll those seams in between your fingers to make sure that they come all the way out. Our opening, we're gonna fold back in and clip that shut so that we can top stitch and it'll close that hole for us. So here we go, we're ready to top stitch once you've got everything all nice and folded out. Now that we're all top stitched, your first Valentine is complete. You can pop the stitch open and look inside and pop it nice and close so you can stick your Valentine in there, you can stick candies in there, it's the perfect gift. And there's the back. Now we have one more to do. Let's go ahead and start the same way. We're gonna cut the same 3 rectangles that we started this project with to begin. Just like our snap tab heart, we're going to start with our smaller pieces. The only difference is we've got to attach a zipper first. So if you've never worked with a zipper foot before, you can check your manual and see how that goes. So the first thing we're going to do is work on the top. We're going to go ahead and place our zipper with our zipper teeth face up and our triangle, I'm sorry, I don't know why I keep saying triangle, our rectangle, right side up, right sides together. We're going to flip our zipper over, match up our edges, and sew it on. Once our first line is sewn, we're going to come back and we're going to also lay down our lining piece right sides together, right on top so that our zipper is sandwiched right in between. And go ahead and sew on the outer edge of your zipper tape, and then we'll come back and add the bottom. Now, just like after the snap, we're going to go ahead and flip it out, fold, and bring your outer pieces, your fabric pieces, away from the zipper, and we're going to top stitch right down the edge of. Now that our pieces are on the one side of the zipper, we have our outer piece on the outside and our liner on the inside of the zipper. We're going to repeat the process for the other side. So we're going to fold our pieces right sides together so that the teeth are facing the right side of our fabric, and then we're going to do the same thing for the liner. We're going to throw that on the other side. Make sure that we're sandwiching the zipper in between both pieces. Pin, sew, flip it out, and top stitch. Now that our zipper piece is all attached, so we have the front just like we did with our snap pocket version, we're going to go ahead and use the same heart template that I cut out for the last one. Now the fun part about this is you can choose where you want your zipper by placing the heart wherever you want it. So if you want the zipper to go straight across here, you place it like that, pin it on, cut it out. I'm going to switch my zipper so that the zipper actually comes across. So I'm going to place it like that so that my hearts face this way, my zipper opens this way. I'm going to place it and make sure that my template is covered by fabric on all sides, and then I'm also going to make sure that the zipper head, the zipper pull, is inside of where we're going to be cutting. Pin it on, cut it out. And then you're going to also cut out your other two pieces just like we did for the snaps. Now we're going to go ahead and construct just like we did with our snap parts. So lining piece first, zipper piece face up, right on top of our lining, and then our outer piece face down. And then we're going to do the same thing. Clip it all the way around, and then we're going to sew it all the way around except for a hole here on the bottom. Now depending on where you put your zipper, you don't want the hole over the zipper. Sew an anchor over the zipper, leave the hole just at the bottom. That'll be the easiest way to turn it inside out and top stitch it nice and flat and keep its shape in the end. Now we're going to go ahead and treat our seams the exact same as our last piece. Now that all of our seams are treated, we're going to do the same thing and turn it inside out. Remember, you're turning it inside out through the main piece's hole, not the lining hole. We're going through the main pieces, and make sure you can always stick your finger inside of your project and push across any of those seams to make sure that you didn't actually cut through any of the stitching while you were going around, to make sure that you have no holes. Now that we're turned all inside out, we're going to go ahead and top stitch all the way around. Make sure that you catch the zippers here and you stay along all of the edges. And just like that, your heart DIY Valentine with zipper opening enclosure is complete. So you can see everything is enclosed inside. It's the perfect place to put your Valentine. And now you have both, and you are all set and ready for Valentine's Day. Happy crafting!